PlayStation series of consoles have had so many great mascots tied to its name. Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Lara Croft, Solid Snake, Parappa the Rapper, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, but one of them is Ubisoft's limbless hero Rayman. The Rayman franchise had a significant number of spin-off titles from golf to bowling, and even some extra level packs, but we're not here to talk about those today. Instead, we'll be talking about Rayman M, or Rayman Arena in some countries. I hold Rayman games in just as high regard as the Spyro, Tomb Raider and Tony Hawk franchises, so as you can probably imagine, I really enjoyed playing Rayman M when I was younger. But is it as good as I remember, or is it going to be another one of those Spyro Enter the Dragonfly situations? Let's find out. So we load the game up and we're greeted by what looks like a really cute intro. At first. Not 5 seconds in and everyone's beating the living shit out of each other. Even Rayman himself is trying to sabotage his friend Glowbox by fucking killing him. Okay, but why are they all fighting, pulling punches at each other and casually attempting to seriously injure one another? Well, I don't think it's actually explained in any way. It's not mentioned in the game itself, I can't find anything on the Ray Wiki, and not even the game's manual. Wait, so now they're just strolling on the beach. Game, why are you like this? This may sound nitpicky, and I understand it, I really do, but having these characters suddenly compete against one another with no virtually explained reason to do so, that's kinda lazy if I'm being honest. I think the North American counterpart Rayman Arena explains some stuff here, but I'm not reviewing the stuff Europe didn't get, so they do not exist to me. One thing I do like about this intro, however, is that it introduces you to 5 of the 8 playable characters who are available from the start. Everyone's favourite Rayman, Rayman's aforementioned friend Glowbox, some teensies probably still indecisive about who's the king, I actually think that's a clever way to incorporate that small plot detail from Rayman 2, Razorbeard, and one of his goons the henchman 800. Each of them has their own unique theme, but I'll get to this game's music later. And now we're at the menu, which must have been filmed inside the mind of a confused artist, or a drug addict, and in a really nice looking way too. Single or multiplayer? Single, just like I'm going to end up. Yay, cynicism! Finally we get to pick who we can play as, and just because he's the titular character, we're going with Rayman first. It is from this point where we find that the game is split into 5 leagues, all ranked by difficulty, and divided further with each league having 2 vastly different modes. There's the racing stages, and then there's the arena maps. I actually forgot about these loading screens. No joke, I actually love these. These screens look like they show so much personality in the characters just by using still models, and I like it. Wow, those are some hyper numbers. Listen guys, don't overdo it on the energy drinks and caffeine. You don't need too much, trust me. Since the controls are so similar between modes, let's discuss those and get them out of the way first. Everyone in this game controls identically, and when I say identically, I mean exactly the same as Rayman did in The Great Escape. I really, and I mean really like that they kept the familiar moveset we were used to from that game, not to confuse players, or to make the game feel jarring. In fact, it's perfect. The only differences between each character, however, are just the models, animations, and voice clips used. That's it. Now, I see this as both a good and a bad thing. Each character is really fun to control, because of how quickly the game responds to your inputs, as well as their lively movements, which make platforming segments in this game some of the most satisfying to pull off. But there's no differences in their abilities whatsoever, meaning that everyone is just as fast as each other, everyone has the same jump height, and their hovers are just reskins. I guess this was done to prevent any balancing issues, and I can definitely see why they would do something like this, but other kids' games made the characters control slightly differently from one another just to give the player a chance to experiment. Here though, once you've chosen one character and you've played as them, you've played as all of them. Despite this, however, this does make the game a little more accessible to everyone. But what's all this stuff in the intro? Perhaps stats like speed and jump height were intended at one point, but were never implemented. Either way, I'll let it slide for now. Visuals share the same art style as Rayman 2 as well, so everything is just as angular as we remember, which means that you will see a lot of identical textures from that game. In fact, it's probably just as good as the original Rayman and Rayman 2's graphics. While it's not the most vibrant of games most of the time, the ruins look and feel old and decrepit, the water-themed areas in particular are probably the most best-looking environments in this game, and the forests manage to feel as radiant as ever. Did you know that this game can be played in 3D? Yeah, how many games let you do that? By making 3D Vision your profile name and pressing L2 square and circle, the game allows you to play every single stage in 3D providing you have the correct glasses. There's also a mode where by making old TV your name and pressing the exact same combination, the game gets a grainy black and white filter reminiscent of old movies and TV shows. They're entirely optional features, but it's still fun to toy around with. Getting back to actually talking about the races, there's 4 types. Training is exactly as it sounds, a completely optional mode allowing first-time players to familiarise themselves with the layout of the map and the hazards to expect as well as search for hidden paths as long as they like, which is a pretty nice feature. Also available from the start of the new league is a standard race, requiring you to finish in first place to earn a star. Completing a couple of these will unlock the next type of race. Popolopoi. What is this word? What does it mean? Is it made up? Don't know. No clue. And probably. This event involves you shooting butterflies to add more seconds onto your timer. Progressing further and collecting more stars will unlock the final race type, which is simply known as Lums. This mode involves you racing against a single opponent while collecting the required number of Lums, which are these fairy-like things that you bet be glad don't even talk, unlike a certain other fairy in gaming history. Nah, too easy. The reason as to why I enjoy the Lums and Popular Poi mode so much is that they incentivize exploration, and the unlockables are the rewards you get for doing well searching every nook and cranny. The maps themselves are pretty well designed in my opinion. Each of them get the player to utilise their abilities to their fullest, and as I just mentioned, there are several different routes you can take to complete the track. It's also likely that you wouldn't find all the secret routes in one go, so small things like this encourage replayability on top of that, such as letting the player try and beat their best times. Small details like that really make these courses enjoyable. I thought I'd have more issues with these races, but I'm pleasantly surprised. But one thing I can complain about is shooting accuracy. Sometimes a character won't actually throw the thing to hit the switches directly, even though the switches are right in front of them. In this clip, I'm trying to keep up with the pace of the other races, but Glowbox just doesn't want to hit the switch, even though it was in plain sight. Glowbox, buddy, listen. Do you suffer from visual problems? Try going to an optician. Maybe if opticians actually existed in your world, which I doubt. Now you could be arguing that I was rushing just a little bit here, but I did this in the previous round with no problems, so what the fuck was going on here? Thankfully though, this isn't a frequent occurrence, and aiming at buttons is actually pretty accurate and reliable for the most part, and it's genuinely fun messing up the AR's performance as it runs into a wall, falls into water, or gets hit by a trap. Even so much of taking away their chance to use a speed or bounce pad with perfect timing gives you a slight advantage over the other races and still manages to feel gratifying enough to make you want to keep going. On the subject of strategy, here's a quick tip for any newcomers. Mash the triangle button for everything. It helps you recover quick when you're hit by obstacles. You get a quick boost as soon as the countdown ends at the start of a race, several boosts if you touch a speed pad, and you move slightly faster when landing on a slippery surface. It's not much, but having this one button do what looks like so little and helps so much is a really good addition. But weird that the game doesn't tell you that right off the bat. Not even in training mode, oddly enough. Overall though, I really like the race modes. They're pretty solid. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the arena modes. Right, let's start with what I do like and get those points out of the way first. Just like the racetracks, the maps are also really well designed. Some have better layouts and visuals than others, but all around, they're passable enough to get the job done as battle maps. The radar on the top of the screen of some modes does an alright job at telling you where the important thingamajig is, but it really could have detailed the environment a bit more. A couple of the game modes here are also really fun. Those being Lum Spring, which requires you to collect 5 lums that spawn randomly around the map before your opponents can catch them, and Capture the Fly, which is a pretty fun spin on the beloved Capture the Flag game mode, but instead of taking the fly to a goalpost, you need to hold on to it for as long as you can to earn a set number of points. And this is the part where I talk about why I really do not like the arenas. Are you ready, everyone? 'Cause I'm not. I'm really not. Let's start with one thing that isn't too big of an issue, but is still a missed opportunity nonetheless. There are no stage hazards like in the race modes, and you will hear me compare these modes to the race modes every once in a while, but I can't help it. There is the occasional pit every once in a while, but they don't tend to be too deep, and you can just hop out as quickly as you fell in. Shouldn't the game punish you for not paying much attention to your surroundings? But you know what really makes me hate this mode? The absolutely bullshit difficulty spike. The AI in anything but Beginners League arenas is too smart for its own good. Arenas in this feel like the game wants to throw you off a cliff roughly the height of a skyscraper and expects you to fucking fly. And since the AI is also just as, if not more skilled than you, some matches can just be flat out unforgiving or way too long. This is something that's particularly noticeable in the Lum Fight mode, where you need to be the first to reach a set number of KOs, though to be fair I might not have been aiming my shots as well as I should have. Regardless, this game can and will force you to bend over, blindfold you, smack you with the bat repeatedly, and make you its bitch. Okay, now that my most hated thing about this game is finally out of the way, let's carry on. Finishing a match in either mode will have your character do a little victory dance, and this adds so much more personality to the game, and I will never get tired of Rayman shouting, "Yippee!" at the top of his lungs. I love him so much. I didn't encounter too many technical issues, but there was this one time where I somehow managed to Danny Phantom my way through the floor at one point. So yeah, that happened apparently. Enjoy! The music in this game is alright, nothing too special in my opinion. Each character has 4 or 5 versions of their own themes, one for each zone in the race modes, with all of their unique spin which make them sound distinct enough. For example, Rayman's theme predominantly features string instruments, Glowbox's uses brass, and the robots' themes have slightly different electronic styles. The arenas each have their own unique tracks, but I can't for the life of me actually remember how they go, and I deeply apologise to anyone who actually enjoys the battle modes here. I'm deeply sorry about that. I know I'm being too harsh on it, but I can't help it. Outside of the new leagues and modes, there are also some new characters to unlock for completing more challenges. I don't really see the point of unlocking new characters or skins if they don't enhance the game in any way, but here we go, they're here. It's there for those completionist types out there anyway. The characters themselves are actually kind of disappointing in my opinion. First there's a Henchman 1000, which is just an older model of Razorbeard's goons. Next. Tilly the Fairy, who I'm pretty sure was intended to be Lee the Fairy at one point, but was switched out at the last minute for whatever reason, even though she's on the back of a bloody box. Next! And lastly, Razorbeard's wife, simply known as Razorwife, who just suddenly exists. Okay. I guess this was their attempt at world building, but if you're asking me, that sort of stuff should stay and remain in main series titles and not spin-offs. Skins can also be unlocked for 4 of the 8 playable characters too. 4 of the 8 playable characters. 4! Rayman doesn't even have a Dark Rayman costume. Did they not plan on giving the other characters skins, or was there not enough time? I'll say it again, these character unlockables are the definition of disappointing. Thankfully, the bonus league does just enough for me to forgive the game for metaphorically tying me to a chair and punching me in the face. While there is another arena match with more of that horrendous AI bullcrap, there are still some racing maps that test your skills such as sliding and avoiding explosives. But they're only in training mode, sadly. They could have at least had main races. I mean, some of them are perfectly fine for race modes. There's also an on and on mode that gets you to play through every single stage as fast as you can, and then there's my personal favourite map where you have to outrun a giant wall until it completely collapses, which tests your reflexes and memory when running towards the screen. The bonus league is the perfect example of how you do post-game content in a game where multiplayer functionality is emphasised in the title. Oh yeah, the multiplayer. I never actually tested this because I don't have anyone to play alongside, what a shocker, but if you have a friend nearby and somehow get them to join you, then go for it. So what do I think of this game? It's alright. It's decent. There's definitely fun to be had here, but I feel like there are way too many things that keep this from being a slightly above average experience. The graphics and characters are enough to immerse you into Rayman's world, and the races can be a lot of fun if you know what you're doing or playing with a friend. Sadly though, I can't enjoy the game as a whole, because the AI in the battle mode becomes way too smart, way too quickly, and as a result, prevents me from enjoying the mode to its fullest, as petty as that sounds. If you're looking for something to play with a friend or are already a fan of the Rayman games, then yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, I'd skip this one. This has been jpward01, and I hope you enjoyed the review.